All right, before I talk about whether the Zeta Fin is a nerf or a buff, I very specifically want to talk about how I use Zeta Fin and what Zeta Fin does for me. Zeta Fin was a way of putting a Zeta on a single character that was not Gear 12. I've got Zeta Fin on a Gear 8 12, and the key pieces to the Zeta team that I use are at Gear 11 and Gear 10. And I use this to beat an assortment of teams in territory wars. I use this in territory battles. And it's amazing because I could put one Zeta on one character and not have to gear all of them to Gear 12. That's a big, big deal. This is no longer of no value to me. I really think I should be able to get a refund on this Zeta and put it on my new Grievous team, which I know is going to be amazing. I suspect it's going to be amazing, but I can't see with this rework how a Gear 8 would be of any kind of use whatsoever with a Zeta. And that was the value of the Zeta before, is I did not have to gear them up. So let's just read the rework, because at Gear 12 and at a full Gear 12 resistance team, probably this rework is of some benefit, and I will test it, but I just can't understand why we don't have the option. If we like it, then we could put it back on like they did with Zeta Daka, Zeta Barris. I just think that offering a refund, and if we choose to put it back on, we still see the value. Now, for me, I would never put the Zeta back on because I only have a Gear 8 Fin, and I'm not interested in gearing up the entire resistance team, even if it's amazing, and I doubt it will be amazing. I think it's going to be very good. In fact, in the raids, I think there's probably a lot of benefits to this, and I'll make future videos on the testing. There was an infinite loop. And the infinite loop didn't affect me. I didn't use it. Had nothing to do with anything for me. It had to do with the addition of 3PO, C-3PO in the Sith raid, Phase 3. Now, for me, I can't understand why they didn't add some sort of stacking tenacity when she was toppled, or maybe she just resisted expose effects, or after the 30th hit, something happens that prevents some sort of loop. But instead, they just tried to entirely change the way Zeta Fin worked for the last 2 years. And they did give us some heads up on this, and that's fine. It says in December we announced our intention to act upon our unintended interaction with Zeta Fin and C-3PO. I don't disagree with them. Loops are bad. The raid is a year old, and I guess they didn't want any loops. And maybe this was the way that the kit was designed is going to create loops with new characters. I don't know, but they're destroying the loop and just the whole way that Zeta Fin worked. I'm a little bit frustrated with this, and I think a lot of other people too. I think they just really should offer a Zeta, and I'll stop complaining. Okay. But it said, but basically, by leveraging the functionality of an infinite loop, and I don't think there should be infinite loops, has been a long-standing policy of ours to discover infinite loops, we take action on them. And I'm just saying that they could have done something different. They could have add some sort of stacking tenacity where after the 30th hit, the tenacity starts to stack or something. I don't know. Unlike some of our previous instances where we maybe acted too quickly, really wanted to continue to iterate until we found something that would stop the interaction and also improve the character affected. Up for debate. I believe that the character will be improved on a Gear 12 team, but on a Gear 8 team like what I was doing, it is not going to be improved. Finn was released over 3 years ago, along with the release of The Force Awakens. Finn was also one of our earliest characters to receive a Zeta, approximately 2 years ago. In addition to Zeta, Finn has been a prolific presence in the Heroic AT raid. That's of no concern to me whatsoever. Thanks to his leader ability, reduce the cooldowns of resistance allies and grants them 35% turn meter whenever an enemy takes damage from an expose. C-3PO brought us ahead with the Cyber Relations unique, which allowed rebels and Ewoks to inflict and expose with their basic abilities. This is true. Basically, C-3PO is resistance and rebels, and basically throwing a couple rebels on there, like Princess Leia, created this loop. In addition to C-3PO's ability to call his team members to assist with special, oh my goodness, and then Princess Leia doing multiple attacks meant tons of exposes, and it meant that they were always going to get 100% turn meter, and it was a loop. I get that. As a result of this loop, we made some changes to Finn and only Finn. Yeah, well, basically this change affects the entire resistance. For me personally, this affects not just Finn, but my investment in Poe. Not so much Resistance Trooper. Actually, I get use out of Resistance Trooper with JTR. So I'll just say just Poe for me. Detailed kit changes found below. Functionality, what we've done is to change the amount of turn meter he's accruing for the team, giving some regular team sustain, a lot more damage output. And this is true. He actually might do better in some parts of the raids and other parts of the game. I'm not saying that this is like an outright nerf, but for what I used Zeta Finn for, this is a complete nerf altogether for me. Changes in green. Basic crack shot. Now, I like this. Deal physical damage to target enemy. This attack deals 20% more damage each time the target has been struck by it. So that might be good in the raid. Special 1. Okay, final text. All resistance allies recover 20% health and protection. Finn gains advantage, defense up, taunt, and determination for 2 turns and dispels all debuffs from all allies. That's fantastic. Now, determination is pretty cool. I think it might actually be very useful with Poe, and I really want to test this out. I don't think I want to gear 12 any of these characters on my personal account. Whenever any other resistance ally falls below 50% health, determination expires and Finn taunts for 2 turns. If that ally was taunting, it is dispelled. When determination expires, Finn gains retribution for 2 turns. I guess that might be good with Holdo also. We will see. Now, this is interesting. I like this one right here, Special 2, and I think this is going to be amazing in the raids, the way that it accumulates. Deal physical damage to targeting, expose them for 2 turns, stun them for 1 turn. This attack deals 60% more damage each time the target has been struck, doubled against raid bosses, 120% damage. So the damage is going to go crazy on this ability. And if you're really into the raids, maybe this is okay. Maybe, if you weren't taking advantage of the C-3PO loop interaction, but now maybe there's a new heroic Sith raid team that's going to be viable. They say phase 3, 20%. That's pretty high. I have found that the Sith raid is a year old and that maybe 10 or 15 people in my guild can blast through it. It's not really that hard, not that complicated. We're not being challenged by it and adding another team, and we didn't need the loop to get this done. This is where the controversy is. Resistance allies have 60% defense. That's an increase, 60% offense and potency, and other allies have half that amount. Okay, that's fine. That's actually quite a bit of a buff. Each time they damage an exposed enemy, all resistance allies gain 3% turn meter, and that is so they're each getting 3% turn meter, and the target enemy loses 5% for each resistance ally. So the target enemy is going to lose 25% turn meter, and the resistance ally is going to gain 15%. Now, if the enemy doesn't have any turn meter, then they're not going to lose more than they don't have. Where before, they would just get 35%. Damaging an exposed enemy also reduce resistance allies cooldowns by 1. And before, the damage exposed enemy affects resistance allies. This only works with resistance and resistance cooldowns. And so throwing Leia on the team is not going to help or anything like that. And so I have to test this out, and it might be good, but I don't think it's going to help me when I have a Gear 8 Finn. I just really would like the opportunity to refund this if I want to, because I know I'm going to need a ton of Zetas for Grievous, B1, B2, all that stuff, Droidica when it comes out. And I probably will never use Finn again because I have too many other characters to focus on right now. In fact, I only gear up characters if they're good in the arena. I typically don't bother with characters not in arena, and this is not going to be a top of the arena team, so I'm not going to take them to Gear 12, so I don't really need the Zeta anymore. I just would like the option. Commentary and changes. Players will immediately notice that we made some significant changes to Finn's leader ability to reduce the amount of turn meter, which was the only thing that mattered to me when I did it the way I was doing it, that he and his allies gained from activating Expose, but now giving them the ability to reduce the exposed enemy turn meter as well. Additionally, the leader ability scales based upon the number of resistance allies, and resistance allies are the only ones that can activate the turn meter gain loss from exposes. So with C-3PO, a lot of the exposes were coming from Raid Han and Leia, Princess Leia, and now that won't work anymore. So basically, it has to be an entire resistance team. That's fine. I mean, you can still make a really good resistance team, I suppose, with Finn, Poe, Resistance Trooper, and then let's say C-3PO and R2. I mean, that's a good team right there, I imagine. Finally, we removed Finn's ability to grant advantage to resistance members. I never used that, or that didn't match much to it. And they say, thematically, we didn't think it made a lot of sense and practically didn't help the resistance team. I agree. In order to help maintain Finn's identity as a powerful character within the raid encounters, never used him in the raid. See, I don't get that. We've changed his basic attack and takedown special ability so that now they each deal more damage based on the number of times they've each been used against enemies. So while looping the turns may be a bit more difficult, Finn-led resistance teams in general will take more turns. Consequently, Finn will have significant scaling damage the longer the counter goes on. And I know a lot of people use Finn to take out Treya. I don't see how that's going to be possible. That's an entire counter to Treya that is going to disappear because of this change. We've also revisited the Hold the Line special, when now it recovers health and protection for all resistance allies instead of granting heal over time, and grants them new determination effect. That seems pretty cool. I want to see how this works, actually. I mean, I do think this might be okay, but I don't like it. I wish maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll try it, but I just really don't understand why we can't refund this Zeta. I'm not going to say it any more times. All right. The nether resistance ally falls below 50% health. The effect is active. Ally loses taunt if they had. Finn gains taunt for 2 turns while dropping the determination effect. Finn loses determination whether it expires naturally or if an ally triggers its effect. Finn gains retribution. All right, fine. Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. People on Reddit, tons of posts about here. Announcement talking about it, tons of comments about how people are not really thrilled about this. I think they're in the same camp as I. And then there's an entire thread talking about the refund of Zeta is farcical, and a lot of comments there. So for me, when this goes live, I'm going to start testing it and see if it's usable. Probably will be usable at Gear 12, and there's going to be some benefits to it in the raid and so on. But I don't see the benefit for me personally. You know, when I just Gear 8, boy, I got a lot of value out of the Zeta without having to gear them up. And I don't see how that is going to help me in my situation. And so I feel I should be able to have the opportunity to refund my Zeta. That's all I'm going to say about it.